Hello and welcome to Michael's Minty Music for today. Today we review Fall Out Boy's 2018 album Mania. It's good but not incredible. This is the track listing and these are the tracks added to my playlist. 6 out of 10, so 1 over half. This album is definitely good, but it's also clearly not incredible. There's a decent amount of songs here that are kind of boring. And while the album still manages to come together pretty well in the end, it's not good all the time. It's only good about half the time. The opening is really good, but the third track, Hold Me Tight or Don't, kind of stops the flow in its tracks. From there, the album never really manages to get going again. Every other track is pretty good, but there's no real run of good songs to move things along. The ending couple of tracks are a pretty decent conclusion, but Bishop's Knife Trick just isn't unique enough to be a good final track. Young and Menace, the 9th track, is a much better finale in my opinion. The variety here is decent enough, although the album is pretty much just pop. It sounds like something from maybe One Republic or Maroon 5, not really like Fall Out Boy in style. It really sounds kind of boring compared to their other albums. Heaven's Gate is a pretty decent slow song, but most of the tracks here are mid-speed or faster, which does kind of help the album come together, even though, like I said, half the tracks are not very interesting. A good album, but not incredible. Only about half the songs here are interesting, and while the rest aren't bad, they are kind of boring, so it's not a great album. And it's only 10 tracks, which means that having half of it be not good is pretty substantial. There were 5 singles released before the album. Young and Menace, Champion, The Last of the Real Ones, Hold Me Tight or Don't, and Wilson, Expensive Mistakes. The only radio track here was The Last of the Real Ones, I think, and even that one wasn't super popular at the time. It's really, additionally, it is my favorite track here. It's the only one I think really compares to the best tracks on their previous albums. It's the only really one that's higher quality than everything else, and maybe the only hit here. Most of the other even good tracks are still kind of just okay. I rank this album 6th out of the 7 Fall Out Boy albums I've heard so far, only over their 2008 album, Folie à Deux. Most of their albums are pretty great, but I feel like Mania and Folie à Deux are both just good, not great. Even Take This to Your Grave comes together pretty well, beating out Mania in my opinion. Mania has a couple of good songs, but it really doesn't come together very well. Half of the songs are not interesting, so it doesn't really have a lot going on. Folie à Deux is of a similar quality as Mania, but I think that over a decade their overall quality has increased, so Mania is generally better, but it is definitely close, and they're not... it's not a substantial lead. Now, this album definitely doesn't take the top spot from 2018. That stays with George Ezra's 2018 album Staying at Tamara's, which is really great and definitely a lot better than Mania, so that one easily takes it. Thank you for watching. Next up is the Cars 2006 movie soundtrack. It is a really good soundtrack, and the movie is really great. And yeah, it's really good, so I'm going to review it. So stay tuned for that. And as always, stay minty.